Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Christina from Our Wood Home. This is the final video in my Preparing for Winter Like the Proverbs 31 Woman Challenge series. This is task 5, so we've had 4 previous videos that I hope you've been enjoying. This is the last one, but I don't think that this could be the end of our winter preparations. Once again, I'm going to just be glancing down at my lap because I have my iPad with my notes on it. This task is all about looking ahead and knowing that we've been taking steps to be prepared for winter. I think a lot of people get very stressed and nervous about the winter season because there's just so many things that could happen. It could be bad weather, we could lose power, there could be supply chain issues, we just don't know. But we can help calm that anxiety by taking steps to make sure that we're prepared for what happens. Make sure that you are reviewing the previous tasks if you've been doing this challenge to complete anything that is still outstanding if it's applicable to you. I talked about being prepared for power outages in a previous video. If you live in a place that does not typically lose power in winter, this might not apply to you. I would also encourage you to make a list of any additional ways that you can prepare for winter and start checking those things off as soon as you're able. This could be stocking up on cold supplies for when you have sicknesses in your house. It could be buying those winter items that you need to build up your wardrobe. If you haven't already, I really suggest batch cooking some meals that you can put in your freezer for any quick dinners. I didn't really focus on scripture verse by verse for this challenge, even though it is called the Proverbs 31 challenge. I didn't focus too heavily on it because I didn't want this to be repetitive of my book and other videos I've done about this topic. But if that's something that interests you, I do have some other Bible study videos that go into a little bit more depth. And if you don't know, I do have a book about this topic. It's called Preparing for Winter Like the Proverbs 31 Woman. I released my first edition as an ebook in October 2022, and the paperback copy came out September of this year, 2024. So if you would like to have some more tips and to just really go more in depth into Proverbs 31, I suggest picking up a copy of my book. I have the link for it in the description of this and every video since it was released in 2022. The verse that really got me started onto this whole topic was Proverbs 31 verse 21, which says, "She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet." And when I read that and started doing some digging, I was wondering, what does this mean exactly? Why wasn't she afraid of snow? Was she dressing her family all in red clothing? Is that somehow significant? I don't know, but I wanted to know. And that verse really piqued my curiosity and made me want to study all of Proverbs 31, especially with an eye for winter preparedness. I came to the conclusion that, first of all, the clothes were not red specifically. I go into more detail about that in my book, but I believe the reason the Proverbs 31 woman wouldn't be afraid is because she trusts in God. I'm going to just read a couple paragraphs from my book, Lesson 10, about verse 21 specifically. I believe the main lesson to glean from this passage is that we are to be planning ahead and be prepared for our climate, seasons, etc. I live in Canada where we have 4 distinct seasons. In the winter, we have a lot of snow, so part of my preparations for the season include making sure our winter gear is still suitable. Fit, no holes, all the accessories have a pair if applicable. Of course, your winter may be different than mine, but there are still ways to prepare. For me, that means keeping an eye on the weather forecast for any potential storms because we risk losing power. If that happens, we would not be able to get water or cook using our kitchen stove so I make sure we have our emergency water jugs filled and lots of wood available for cooking on the wood stove. Do you know why the Proverbs 31 woman is not afraid? She trusts God and knows that He will take care of her and her household. But she does not rely only on blind faith. She does her part, using the brains God gave her, to quote an old phrase, and knows that she has done what she can to be prepared. I think this is so important because a lot of people will say to just trust God to meet all your needs, but then they aren't doing anything to actively help with that process. Of course, God is going to meet all of our needs, but that doesn't mean we can just sit by and do nothing, waiting for Him to step in and fix a problem. And I don't think being prepared for winter, specifically in this case, is not trusting God. It's being prepared and trusting that if anything does come up unexpected, God's going to be looking out for us. But He also gave us wisdom, and we can use that wisdom to take steps now to be prepared. Another verse that really stuck out to me in Proverbs 31 is verse 25, which says, "Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future." I want to touch on the latter part of that, her smiling at the future. And again, I want to read another excerpt from my book. This is lesson 12 on verse 25. As we enter into winter season, we may find ourselves at our wits' end. Our families may be driving us nuts. We may be stressed over all our holiday commitments. Finances may be tight. We may feel like we are still not prepared for winter. The lack of sunlight may get to us, etc. Our first response may be to react sharply or say something we regret to a family member, but the Proverbs 31 woman should be our inspiration for how to manage our emotions and words. Why do you think the Proverbs 31 woman is smiling at the future? I believe it is because she is prepared for whatever may come and is therefore not stressed. All the other verses in this section of scripture show us that she plans ahead and makes wise decisions. She also knows her value as a person is not merely her physical appearance or her accomplishments. She knows that all she does is for God's glory. Since she knows her worth is not just how she looks, she also does not fear aging. I'd like to think she is looking forward to passing down wisdom and mentoring young women, Titus 2 verse 5 style. Finally, she smiles at the future because she knows that this earth is not her home. One day she will be with her Lord in heaven, and she eagerly awaits that time. For now, she will live out His commands and teachings, strive to have a gentle and quiet spirit, work hard at all her tasks, love her family, and spread the gospel. Let that serve as our reminder to continue with this series and be open to learning something new. I wanted to end with that passage because I think it's also just such a good reminder. We don't have to be feeling stressed and anxious and worried about the future. We can smile when we think about what's to come. I hope that you've enjoyed doing this challenge with me. It's been very helpful for myself, even as I'm going through my book and picking out the different verses that I want to focus on and make the challenge tasks about. I always think it's good to be prepared for winter, even if you think you maybe already are. There's probably some additional things that you can do or some things that you didn't even think of. If you have been following along with this challenge, please let me know in the comments which task was your favorite or perhaps your most challenging. And if you have been posting anything about the challenge, feel free to use the tag that I have in the description of this video so that I can see your progress. I will link another video about Proverbs 31 in the description of this one, so you can check that out. I made it when we were expecting a particularly bad storm a few years ago. I think it's just a helpful reminder, and it gives a clear visual if you would like a list of things to do, specifically when you know there's going to be a risk for a power outage. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you have a great rest of your day.